Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa nabiyyana wa maulana Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wakhlul uqdatan bil lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Thumma alhamdulillah, all praises are due to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Allah ta'ala making available for us this platform from which we can alhamdulillah share, some interesting lessons inshallah.
Ameen.
And also may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also inshallah strengthen us in our commitment, as well as inshallah may Allah ta'ala make it easy for us, inshallah. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, also with the same breath, would like to also welcome, of the new students that have joined us, inshallah. And may Allah Ta'ala grant, that your participation, or I would say, firstly, you becoming part of it, inshallah, that you benefit from it as well. And inshallah, may Allah Ta'ala also strengthen your courage, and perseverance, inshallah, so that we can, as a team, grow together. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Alhamdulillah, shukran once again to Yusuf for the notes, or I would say the YouTube link that you had forwarded to us. And alhamdulillah, we have been sending it around to many students, just to update them all, inshallah. So what I will be doing, as you can see there, lesson number 5, I have started on it last week, and I will just browse through it, because inshallah we intend to finish lesson 5 and then also take lesson 6 as well. Okay, Brother Walid, inshallah, I've asked Zahir to send you the notes. I've got 6, 7, and 8, inshallah, but inshallah I should have number 5 as well. I think the other students, did you all receive the notes that I forwarded for
Yes,
numbers 5, 6, 7? Did you? Did we get it? Nobody got it?
No, I didn't get it.
Okay, fine, inshallah. We will forward it on it. But inshallah, it is on the board at the moment, but you're going to require it, when you do your revision, man. Okay?
Yeah.
Inshallah, this Arina will update us as to when the textbooks are available, and then from there onwards, we can, then arrange or make arrangements as to how to acquire it, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, as we can see, we've done so far, just to refresh our memories. Firstly, we did the noun, which, as we know, a noun is obviously, it is the name of something or of a person, as well as an object. Okay, a little bit further, when we mentioned, or when we did a discussion on the after the noun, spoke about the adjective, that is the damir, that is which qualifies the noun, which tells us more about the noun. And important, as we have learned this far, that we have done only the one type of, or the one reference to the noun, and that was the noun, which is like we would refer to as nakira, or you'd say indefinite, meaning that it referred to not a specific item, okay? For example, when we use the word, if you can see even on the screen, we use the word waladun. We identified it with the last letter, where you find the last letter. On the last letter, there is a tanween, a dommatain, an un. And that is an indication to us that it is it's like we would say, it is indefinite, which means it refers to a boy, for example, waladun, is a boy. Okay, and then we did, after that, we did the adjectives, which qualifies or tells you more about the noun. And the important thing that we realized there was, firstly, that when we discussed the nouns, we said that you get a noun either in 2 types. You get either a masculine noun and a feminine noun. And we discussed the masculine nouns, meaning a name of a man, or referring to something, or to a man, for example. And then also, it can also be an object. And then we spoke about the noun being feminine. We did that also. And that obviously refers to a female. But importantly, when we discuss the feminine noun, we then made reference to an object, where we cannot determine, whether it is a male or a female, but then the sign or the indication of it being feminine could be detected from the last letter, which was a ta marbuta, the ta that looks like a ha, with the two dots on top there, and that indicated that the verb, that indicated that the noun is feminine. So therefore, when we then analyze that, so when we look at any noun, and the noun ends with a ta marbuta or a female, a reference to a female, then obviously the noun is feminine. And then obviously when we look at the masculine side, when it refers to a male, then obviously it's masculine. But then also, therefore, we then realized from there or understood from there that when you find there's an object and it does not end, the last letter, is not sort of, doesn't have a ta marbuta on it, or, then automatically we then identify it as being masculine. For example, the noun which is babun, a door, babun, it's a ba with a un at the back. Okay, so alhamdulillah, so that is how far we came. And then we, importantly, I think our last lesson before we started with this lesson was when we did the adjective, or the adjective, we just connected to the female. Once again, we said that the adjective is very, very important. Our last observation was that when the noun is masculine, then the adjective must also be masculine. Okay, and then obviously when the noun is therefore feminine, then the adjective must also be feminine. Okay, and alhamdulillah, I think that is where we ended off, and then we started with this, which is important. We call it the ismun ishara or ismun ishara, which is the demonstrative pronoun, where we see it is the usage of the words this. Okay, this. And inshallah, we will do the next one. It's just that. So therefore, I explained to us last week, we're doing this year, and in particular case, we refer to hadha, as we see there, hadha and hadihi. And importantly, as we observed there, we said hadha waladun and hadihi bintun. And when we read that, we automatically identified that the two words are basically the same. I would say the two pronouns are basically the same, like hadha and hadihi, but we could see that the usage of it was that hadha referred to masculine, and when you then have a feminine reference, you will use hadihi. And I think the last thing that I just wanted to end off on was just to, as we say, as part of our revision, is that when we look at, for example, the ma'na, meaning the meaning of it, okay, we know that waladun, is a boy. Remember, waladun is a boy.
Yeah.
But now if you can see in the ma'na there, meaning the meaning of it, it says this is a boy. Now, hada, as we said, hada means this. And I explained to us importantly to just take note that hada does not mean or does not refer to this is, but hada is like refers to this only. Now, the reason why we put is in there is to make it sound proper in English. Okay, so that is very, very important, because if we must translate it literally as it is there, you say hada, you say this a boy. Obviously, that's not proper English. You see, that's the reason why we put this is a boy. And similarly, you can see that at hadihi, it refers to hadihi, this a girl. Obviously, you add in this is a girl, but like. And as I say, I emphasized again that is not part of hada. Okay, hada means this, because as I said to us later on, we'll find when we refer to something which is definite, then that is doesn't come in at all. Okay, so inshallah, I think that is just the revision of what we had done last week, and obviously you'll obviously find that in your notes, that we had sent to you. Then we did some examples. I just want to go on to the next page. Okay, we did some examples, For example, we said that there's it, we can see, hada daftarun. Okay, hada daftarun, that we read. And obviously, The reason why we use hada. Hada is for masculine, and daftarun is a notebook. And why did we use hada? Because daftarun is referred to as a masculine noun. And once again, just to remind us again, just to sort of strengthen, understanding, daftarun being masculine due to the fact that there's no ta'a marbuta on there. Okay, no ta'a marbuta on there. Then you say hada kitabun. Once again, hada for masculine. This is a book. Hada qalamun. This is a pen. Hada maktabun. This is a desk. Okay, and one can say these are all masculine. That's the reason why the demonstrative pronoun, or we say the pronoun hada, is used here. Okay, and therefore that is a ruling that you and I must just remember, that whenever you find a masculine or a sentence, where your whole I would say your whole explanation is on masculine nouns, then obviously you know that hada, when you bring hada or hadi in, it will have to refer to something which is masculine. And then obviously number 2 gives us obviously the opposite. There we see hadihi ibnatun. Okay, hadihi ibnatun. This is a daughter. See there? Hadihi. You can't say hada ibnatun. But if you want to say that this is a boy, how would you say it? What would your reference be?
Hada.
Hada?
For a boy.
For a boy, yeah. Hada?
Hada waladun.
Waladun.
Fine. Hada waladun. In this case, daughter. So it will be for a son. It will be hada.
Ibn.
Hada ibtul.
Ibnun. Okay? Ibnun. Remember, as we said, what the ta, there, the back, that falls away. Ibnun. Right? And then the other one, hadihi ukhtun, is obviously this is a sister. And if you say this is a brother, it will be hada
Akhtun.
Akhun.
Akhun.
Remember,
Hada akhun.
we don't put any, your last noun or your last vowel. Remember the very last letter that you have. It must always take a un sound, not a an or I. Remember, only a un sound. So if you take the ta away there, see there, uktun. If you take the ta away, then your kho is your last letter. So that kho changes to a un. Therefore you say, hada akhun. See there? Hada akhun. Okay? So that is the exercises that you will practice on all the time. Obviously, and there we say, hadihi kharitatun. Kharitatun is a map. So obviously, as you can see, hadihi. Why? Ta marbuta at the end, right? Because you can't determine whether a map is masculine or feminine, right?
Okay.
So obviously, then you look for the ta marbuta. The next one, hadihi maktabatun. Hadihi maktabatun. This is a library, okay? Fine, we happy with that? And the word saburatun is a brick chalkboard. Hadihi saburatun, okay? Hadihi saburatun. Okay. So alhamdulillah, that is where we stopped last week, okay? Inshallah, now we're going further. Now, this is important now. Exercises number 3 is now something where we find that it is something that we had done, but hada is just brought into the picture. But it's very, very important for the student to observe the following. Because as I also mentioned to us, that you'll see what we're going to do now is we'll find that most of the lessons that you had done before is going to sort of feature in your new sentence structures. But it's important that you must not forget, the basic rules of it. And I want to explain to us here, if we can look at number A here, okay? It says, this is, hada darsun mufidun. Can anybody tell me what is that? Is that a masculine sentence or is it a feminine sentence?
Masculine.
Masculine sentence. Barakallahu fiik, mashallah. Now, importantly, as you can see here, if you look at this whole structure of the sentence here, darsun mufidun, we've done that before, right? Maybe not the exact wording, but we've done it before. Wow, how did we do it? We did the noun, see, darsun, and mufidun, the adjective qualifying the noun. Can you see there? Darsun, mufidun. So number one, when you look at the sentence structure as that, and it's masculine, the whole sentence must be built up from masculine words. Is everybody with me?
Yes, Imam.
Okay? Because you cannot put hadihi, darsun mufidun. Khata. It's wrong. Why? Because darsun is masculine, mufidun is masculine. Right? Okay? And therefore we can see we did the structure before, darsun mufidun. Remember, when you have, and we call it a mawsuf. Mawsuf means when a noun is qualified by a, when a noun is qualified by an adjective, remember the noun comes first, even though you're going to say useful lesson. But in Arabic, the noun comes first, and whatever qualifies the noun comes after the noun. Can you see? Therefore, mufidun, if you're going to literally read that, this is lesson, sorry, a lesson useful. You see? But therefore, you can see, you will, like you'll say it's a useful lesson. But when the sentence structure, you find first the noun and then the qualifying adjective, we call the mawsuf. Okay? So inshallah. So therefore, that it is. So there we can see we did the first, the latter part of that sentence. You're just adding hada in. Okay? So are we comfortable with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Imam.
Hada darsun mufidun. Right? Now we do number 2. Hadihi jami'atun kabiratun. See, you can't say hada jami'atun kabirun. Why? Why can't we say that?
It's feminine, the university.
Feminine.
See, kabiratun.
Yeah.
Kabiratun and jami'atun are together. Because kabiran tells you about jamia. See, jamia is a university and kabiratun is big.
Hadihi.
And because it's feminine, it takes the pronoun which is hadihi. You know, the demonstrative pronoun of hadihi comes in there. So I think if we understand that concept, inshallah, then we should be able to fly through this, inshallah. I think what we can do is let us open, if we can maybe unmute ourselves, you know, just for this session, and we can just read through all this together, inshallah, min fadlik. So can we start there from 3a again, all together? Hada darsun. Bismillah. Okay, and say, Hada darsun mufidun. This is a useful
This is
lesson.
the usual lesson.
Okay, again, Hada.
Mufidun.
This is the useful lesson.
Okay, yeah, take it like easy. Hada darsun. This is a useful lesson. Oh, okay, next one. Okay, again, hadihi jami'atun kabiratun. Okay, again, everybody. Hadihi. Ja. Important dat moenie onnodig trek en you know waar jy moet trek nie. Okay? And you know, importantly that you see ek kan 'n klas hier ons het hier so om van gemaak het because Jamia toe moet al geregistered in ons vocabulary. Why? Because we already did this letter, you know? So,
yes.
You know, so it shouldn't actually be so difficult for us, you know, to struggle with that. But inshallah, also must almost busy schedules, you know. So we give in for that, you know. But try and focus, Kanala. That's very, very important, you know, because pronunciation is going to be very, very important, as we had mentioned, you know, because so don't push yourself, no hastiness, you know, just through it, you know, inshallah. Okay. So the first one, hada darsun mufidun. You know, that is how you basically should read it, man. Hada darsun mufidun. Because imagine, it's like almost like you're Naam. Because imagine, automatically just try and picture you're speaking to somebody, but now you're stuttering. You know what I'm trying to say? So you're not going to make the conversation interesting at all. Okay? So that is important. So basically you must put yourself in the position as if I am saying this to somebody now. I'm conveying, you know, I'm making Ibra. Ibra means I'm making information, I'm informing somebody of it. You see? هذا درس مفيد. Next one. هذه جامعة كبيرة. Okay? Next one. هذه سيارة جميلة. Okay? هذه ساعة. هذه ساعة جديدة. Okay? هذه ساعة
جديدة.
Then the next one, هذا تلميذ طويل.
طويل.
Okay, right. Everybody together then from the top. هذا
درس مفيد.
right. Next line.
هذه جامعة كبيرة.
All right. Next one.
هذه سيارة جميلة. جميلة.
Oh, next one.
هذه ساعة جديدة.
Next one.
هذا
تلميذ
طويل.
Right. Okay. Right. So that is how we. So you see. So when you do your muraja'a, that is how we should actually, you know, do the practicing on it. That's very, very important. You know, like when you like muraja'a is when you revise. You know, when you revise, then you must basically put yourself, you know, in a position that I'm conversing now in Arabic, and that is important for us. You know, to try and bring about. You know, to try and bring about in our. I can say in our studies or our venture, you know, with the Arabic language. You must remember, this is only the 5th lesson, you know, and you guys are doing well. You guys are doing well with regards to your observations and that. So don't feel any way or in any manner how you feel, you know, or take offense, you know, in the way you're actually doing very well. And like I say, what we're picking up from this is that, you know, we identify where our weak spots are, man, you know. Because remember, but what we're basically doing is we just come from a heavy schedule, you know, whatever commitments we had during the day, and now we're focusing here. But we need to basically try, and as I mentioned, you know, as just a bit of advice, you know, for all of us. The best for us is to at least spend more than one day just on the lesson, or not just to take your books now this evening, you know, when you log on. Now you start, you know, so that's gonna basically what's gonna happen is that it's gonna become challenging upon you, and I'm just concerned, you know, that you might say, you know, gaan maar nie van na nie, and so, you know, whatever the case may be, and that is where we're gonna sort of lag behind. Ne? So inshallah, don't worry about that, but just keep on, and inshallah you're gonna get there because we're not so far, you know, with it. So, you know, and I think we did about 3 or 4 laws only, you know, and it's easy to just work a method as to how to revise, inshallah. So let us take note of what was done. Note. The adjective that follows the masculine noun and the demonstrative pronoun does not take a marbuta and is therefore masculine. We all agree with me, right? Do we agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, right? You see, because it's all masculine, and why do we say so? Because it hasn't got a ta marbuta, and obviously it refers to a male, you know, to masculine. Number 2, the adjectives in 3 of the last 5 examples above, that was on the previous page, follow the feminine gender and therefore take the marbuta. Okay, I think that is what we have become comfortable with. Okay. Yeah. So therefore, let me see, there's a couple of new words that we've learned. And therefore, see, most of the words that we mentioned there in the discussions are all words that we're unfamiliar with. So there's nothing, you know, as I say, it is just new words that we're adding on. And inshallah, we're going to become useful with that, inshallah. Right or fine. Number one, kharitatun is a map. Kharitatun is a map. Daftarun is a notebook. Sa'atun is a watch. Jami'atun is a university. Hadiyah. Hadiyatun. Hadiyah is a gift. Okay? Hadiyatun. So hadiyatun is a feminine word. Haqibatun is a bag. A bag more. Haqiba is more satchel. You know, the bag that you sort of put your books in and that. That's a haqiba. Haqibatun. Darrajatun. You know, tamani, bicycle. Darrajatun. So as you say, Darraja itra, you know. So you shouldn't actually forget about Darrajatun, you know, because you know, all cyclists, you know, like any day vergeten.
But I used to do, yeah.
Faslun, classroom. Faslun is a classroom. Okay? Hafilatun, a bus. Hafilatun, a bus. Was a lang last money bus travel, but you know, try and travel, and then you will start remembering a bus. And the last one, mutawadi'un. Mutawadi'un. And that is obviously we call it to be humble. You know, that is a position of being sincere, etc., etc., etc. Okay, inshallah. Would you like to all repeat those words? Just to om die tongue 'n bietjie los te maak, inshallah? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, inshallah, now do it like this, inshallah. Kharitatun, a map. Daftarun, a notebook. Bismillah. Okay, fine. You know, as ons kamers, as sit maar die dinges op, kyk as ons nog, meeste van ons is al klaar, many of us are on, what do you call it, on mute. So obviously, nobody will realize if you're in your own home, dan skreeu maar, had ook as verkeerd skreeu, alhamdulillah, you know, but no, what I'm saying is, don't, you know, as I say, sort of don't remain quiet and whatever the case may be, or say it softly. Say it out, and when you read it, and in turn, you know, you will obviously be rectified as you hear, you know, when others, and then eventually, we'll find at a later time, then everybody's mics will go on because everybody's overconfident. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Kharitatun. Okay. Bismillah.
Okay.
Kharidatun, a map.
Next one.
Daftarun, a notebook.
Next one.
Atun, a watch.
What?
Jamiatun,
University.
Hadiyatun,
Hadiyatun.
Adiyah. Quickly.
Hadiyatun.
Yeah.
Hadiyatun.
Hadiyatun is
a bag.
give. Next one. On top.
Darat. Bicycle.
A bicycle. Darrajatun.
Okay.
Faslun,
No.
a classroom.
A classroom.
Faslun.
Next one.
Classroom.
Qafilatun.
Hafilatun.
A bus.
Qafilatun. A bus.
This one.
Humble.
Mutawadi'un.
Humble.
Okay, fine. Right. Okay. We have an idea, you know, as to how to do the revision, inshallah. Okay. So here we have one again, the tamarin or tamarin, meaning the exercises. There, inshallah, translate the following sentence into Arabic. This is a clean board. Try it. This is a clean mouth chalkboard. I can tell us the words. Chalkboard is saburatun. Clean is nadhifun. Right. This is hada.
هذه نظيفة.
Beautiful, beautiful. هذه, why هذه? saburatun is feminine. Right? هذه saburatun nadhifatun. Next one, B. This is a school. This is a school. School is madrasatun.
هذه مدرسة.
هذه مدرسة.
Beautiful. هذه madrasatun. MashaAllah. Excellent. Mumtaz, nah? Mumtaz. Next one, number C. This is a desk.
هذا
هذا مكتب.
Beautiful. هذا مكتب, nah? Desk مكتب. Next one, this is a tall boy.
هذا
هذا
طويل
هذا ولد طويل.
طويل. Beautiful. هذا ولد طويل. Accent. Next one, this is a useful notebook. Notebook is on top of you. The notebook is daftarun,
دفتر.
and useful is mufid. Tafadhal. Right. So this is a useful notebook.
هذا دفتر مفيد.
Beautiful. هذا daftarun.
مفيد.
MashaAllah. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Huh? Inshallah, you know, we learn from that. We'll take it further. Okay, translate the following sentence into English. Righto. Number one, هذا, I'll ask the question. هذا رجل نشيط. نشيط بمعنى ما معنى نشيط؟
نشيط is active.
Active, yeah. Idle. طيب. So
رجل is a man.
this what?
It's an active.
This
Man.
active.
An
Man.
active man.
This is an active man. MashaAllah. This is an active man. I'm going to also English, you know, because it's a vowel with the an fatna. I was going to say this is a active man, but I mean, there's not proper English, right? So this is an active man. Okay, you'll have it nooit. Ons kan teachers hier toe gee in die klas en dan, you know, dan gaan hulle vir ons lekker pak gee as ons nou, you know. Maar dan gaan sê, ja, lekker, ons is school gegaan nie, of hulle English vergiet. Okay, so let us brush up on the English. Next one. هذه ممسحة جديدة. هذه ممسحة جديدة.
This is
That is a new rubber.
rubber.
That is a new rubber.
هذه غرفة ضيقة.
That is a narrow room.
Yeah. This is a narrow roof. A room.
This is a narrow room. Hello? Fine,
Room.
beautiful. هذا فصل.
That is a classroom.
That is
Yeah.
This
a
is a classroom. Right?
classroom.
Classroom. It's masculine, right now. هذه سبورة كبيرة.
This
The
is a
big
big
chalkboard.
chalkboard. The
This
big
is-
chalkboard. This is a big chalkboard.
This is a big chalkboard.
Is a big. هذه سبورة. هذه سبورة
سبورة.
كبيرة.
Great,
That
great.
is a
Right.
big chalkboard.
Okay, he sailor no. Okay, complete the following sentence by adding a suitable adjective. Was gaan we daar worry nie? That is your homework. Okay. هذه منضدة. Right? So you must put an adjective in there. No? هذه منضدة. What is a منضدة? It's a table, right? So we say it's a
هذه
table.
سبورة كبيرة.
طيب. كبيرة. Why? منضدة is female. So therefore your adjective must also have a kamar.
كبيرة.
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 That is a big table.
Say نظيفة, you know, clean, you know.
Balloon.
Right. ضيقة also, it is narrow. سخر. هذا معلم.
Teacher.
Yeah. So this
Why do you switch the TV so sleep off?
is a teacher. So you can put on there a type of teacher, you know, that you want to put in there. A small teacher, a fat teacher.
هذا معلم طويل.
طيب, beautiful there, beautiful. Because it is masculine. You know, that is what we're looking at. We're looking at, you know, how do you have, or how have you identified it firstly? And then because from that we can actually determine from the adjective that you are adding, right?
Yeah.
هذا دفتر, you know. هذا
دفتر.
دفتر. do this as the last one.
Feed.
Mufi.
Notebook.
Mufidun. Once again, excellent. Why? Because daftarun is masculine, masculine, so therefore mufidun. Masculine. Ahsant. Right. Now we're going on to the next exercise. Hier moet julle net bysit. Form sentence by using the correct demonstrative pronoun with the following noun. So you must just add hada or hadihi. Right?
Yeah.
Righto. Darajatun.
هذه
Hadihi. Why? Darajatun is right.
Feminine.
Or hadihi that you must add. Darsun.
هذا درس.
Hada. Right? Why? Because darsun is masculine, so it's hada. Darajatun was feminine, therefore it takes hadihi. Remember, it's just hada and hadihi. Right? Madinatun.
هذه
هذه. That is a
Hadi. Madinatun means this is a city. Jami'atun.
هذه جامعة.
Jami'atun.
That is a university.
Ustadun.
هذا
هذا أستاذ.
Ustadun. It was Ustadun gedaan.
It's a professor.
أستاذ.
Ustadun is a professor. No?
Professor.
Ustadun is professor. Okay. Righto. Here's beautiful. Choose the correct word in brackets. You must either choose Jamilun or Jamilatun. You know, as you can see there, one is masculine and one is feminine. Or, you know, as you can see here, so you got to just judge as to how the sentence is, and then you will basically then, you know, choose the right words, which is in brackets. Okay? Righto. Hada bintun.
جميل.
جميل.
هذا بيت تمام. هذا شكرا وسيما. هذا بيت.
Oh,
هذا
yes.
بيت.
هذا بيت.
جميلة. So, but it's not a tamar putta. جميل.
هذا بيت جميل.
أي ما يتنسي بعدين أزرق.
It's not a tamar putta.
I know. كلام منيب. You know.
هذا is masculine.
هذا.
هذا
طيب.
masculine.
So it's هذا بيت. You see, you should know بيت by now because they remember what I said in one of the lessons that when you don't see, like especially when you find the ya and or whatever, and then you see there's no harakat or no sign on there, then it takes the sukun, right?
Yeah.
So they baytun. That's hada baytun. Hada baytun. It's just jamilun. Why? Because hada, as you mentioned there, or somebody mentioned, hada is for masculine. So therefore, accent. That's beautiful. Hadi talibatun.
مجتهد.
Is it mujtahidatun or mujtahidun?
مجتهد.
Mujtahidatun. Feminine.
مجتهدة.
هذا أو هذه تلميذ متواضع.
هذا
Why masculine? هذا أخت أو هذا أخ أو أخت نشيط.
هذا
أخ.
Beautiful.
هذا أخ نشيط.
هذه بنت أو ولد.
هذه بنت.
Very nice. Alhamdulillah. Okay, fine. Inshallah, I think we move on. Inshallah, to another form of the demonstrative pronoun. And this is where we're going to do dhalika and tilka. Exactly the same as what we had in the first procedure. You know, exactly the same formations. Having to identify what is masculine and having to identify which is feminine, as we can see here. And then automatically you would see, you know, for masculine, you use dhalika. Can you see there? So therefore, for this, you use hada, and for that, you know, that you use dhalika. Okay? Dhalika. And that is important for us to realize. Because as I mentioned, and just so something, by the way, that you will come to learn later on, it is like, for example, dhalika is, like as I mentioned, it is for singular, no? For single. singular, meaning mufrad. Mufrad means for a single person or a singular person. But in the Quran, you'll see the word ulaika. Right? I have seen most, no? Ulaika, na ulaika. Ulaika is the plural form of dhalika. See that? Ulaika, is the plural form of dhalika. And therefore you'll see for tilka, they also use ulaika. So when it comes to the plural, there's no feminine version of it. Okay? So this is something that, so when you read now, inshallah, when you read the Quran and say, that's an ulaika humul khasirun, say, that is, and then obviously the plural form of hadha and hadi is haulai, haulai. Okay, that is, you'll see that also in some instances. But ulaika is something which is very common in the Quran, Okay, righto. Explanation is exactly the same as we did previously. So as I say, I will just browse through it and read through it, and then we will see the same applications where dhalika goes for masculine, and we will find that tilka, tilka is for feminine. Dhalika tabibun, tabib is the doctor, and sometimes you see they would also they refer to a doctor as doctor, but the proper Arabic is doctor, is tabibun. Tabibun, that is the proper way, that's normally addressed, But there is sometimes they are makra shortcut, a doctor, so, right. So, dhalika tabibun, this is a doctor, tilka mumarradatun, this is a nurse. Now, obviously, what you're going to find is that you will also find a female, this is obviously a female nurse, female, but you also get male nurses now. So obviously the male nurse will be called dhalika mumarradun. Dhalika mumarradun. You remove the un at the back. You remove the
mumarridun.
Maaf mumarridun. Type tamani, maaf for the observation. Dhalika mumarridun. Okay? Mumarridun.
En voor de male mumarridun.
For the male nurse, mumarridun. Yeah, and for the feminine, tilka mumarridatun. Okay, mumarridatun. Mumarridatun and mumarridun. Okay, so the ra is always an I there. Okay, so the dot becomes a un, and obviously datun. Remember we said when you add the ta marbuta, then the letter before the ta marbuta takes a sound. Okay, mumarridatun. Okay. Explanation. In the first example, dhalika is used to refer to a masculine noun, as we mentioned. And obviously the second example, tilka, is used to refer to a feminine noun. Okay, the demonstrative pronouns, that is tilka and dhalika, refer not only to persons, but also to objects, like faslun is a classroom, or design. Ta'iratun. Ta'iratun, an aeroplane. Ta'ira. Ta'iratun is an aeroplane. See, and ta'iratun is feminine. Why? Because of the ta marbuta at the back. Right? Number 4, both examples above are complete sentences. Remember, we said that it is this is a doctor, that is a complete sentence. Okay? And I know they call that in Arabic, they call that a jumlatul ismiya. But you worry from that, it means it's a noun sentence. Okay? So that sentence says sentence, just a noun, there's no verb in it. Obviously you'll get, as we're going to move on later, we'll get the fi'al. Fi'al means a verb. Then it is jumlatul fi'liya, meaning that is again a verb sentence. But all that we're doing now is we would say it's all noun sentences, which means it's with a noun, and it may be qualified with an adjective or something like that, right? Number 5, note that the nouns which follow the demonstrative pronouns are all indefinite as indicated by the dhammatain. We have done that before, and I'm sure, you will pick it up as we, go on with that, inshallah. So here's some examples again. Dhalika kitabun, right? This is a book. Why? Sorry, that is a book. Why? Because kitabun is masculine, so therefore you're using dhalika. And then that is a pupil. Dhalika tilmidun. Okay, dhalika tilmidun. So this, as you can say, the very same structuring that we had earlier on, or in the lesson just before this, but as you can see, we're only using tilka and dhalika, in this particular instance now, right? Then we go to the next sentence there. Remember, we use hada all the time. Here we find again, dhalika darsun mufidun. See, dhalika darsun mufidun. That is a useful lesson. And if I tell you, can you change that for me into this is a useful lesson? How would you change that?
تلك
هذا درس مفيد.
Maaf?
هذا
هذا درس
هذا درس مفيد.
Because that, remember, that is for dhalika and this is hada, right? Okay, great, You want to kick us on the hand, slap of all the team, Right. Next one. Dhalika kitabun mashhurun. New word we're learning. Mashhur. It is mashhur. Also, by the word mashhur. Mashhur means famous. No? Mashhur. Person is mashhur, is famous, By, like Ronaldo is mashhur, He's famous. Okay. En toen gaat het right, was kind of, was een role model, was maar, was like a secret, right? Dhalika kitabun mashhurun. Obviously, Liverpool, some will say Mo Salah, as we see. Maar as a bit van een topics is geen praten. Anyway, right. So, dhalika kitabun mashhurun, right? Dhalika kitabun mashhurun. Okay, as you can see there, kitabun is masculine, so therefore using dhalika. And the next one, this is another word we're putting in there. Dhalika tajirun karimun. Kanara merchant. This is honest with a merchant, This merchant is a business. That's a businessman. Tajirun is a person dealing, buying and selling, that type of businessman. So it's more like a businessman, not the other merchant that we're talking about. Dhalika tajirun karimun. There's a new word, karimun, Karim, noble, noble, honorable,
Karim.
Karimun, yeah, Karimun. Karim, yeah,
Noble.
So, and also noble, you can use it for noble. Also, those are all explanations that we try in other languages to.
تاجر كريم.
Anyway, can I maybe just this few examples just to read over again, man, if you just to strengthen our reading again, inshallah. Let me just see quickly. Okay, I'm gonna go there quickly. Righto. Just read here from the bottom, then I'll change over to the next page immediately. All together, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Come. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
كتاب
Okay. Dhalika, all together again. Dhalika.
ذلك كتاب
كتاب.
Next one.
ذلك تلميذ
Dhalika till
تلميذ.
Ahsan. Next one.
ذلك
درس مفيد.
Dhalika darsun
ذلك
mufid.
درس مفيد.
Next one.
ذلك
ذلك كتاب مشهور.
Dhalika kitabun mashhurun.
مشهور.
And in the last one.
ذلك تاجر كريم.
كريم.
Ajirun karimun. Ahsan. Ahsan. Beautiful. Now we will be using the word tilka. As you can see, tilka safinatun. Safina is a ship. The boat, the boat, the cruiser, that's a safina. So obviously, the camel is referred to, it's a jamal, but when we refer to the camel, the Arab is, they normally refer to as safina to safra. Safina to safra means the ship of the desert. Safra is the desert. Safina to safra. No? They refer to the camel as the safina to safra, the ship of the desert. Okay, safina. So safina is a ship. No? Tilka safinatun. Why? Ta marbuta at the back. Next one, here's a new word. Tilka
طباخة
tabakhatun. And can somebody tell me what would we call a male cook?
طباخ.
Tabakhun.
طباخ
I saw Sima. Very nice. Tilka tabakhun. Why? What did we do there? We just removed the ta marbuta and the kho at the end takes the un sound. Okay? Right? Alhamdulillah. Next one. Tilka. Now we can see we're adding the adjective in here. Tilka khaqibatun jadidatun. Okay? Tilka khaqibatun jadidatun.
جديدة.
That is
حقيبة
a
جديدة.
A new bed.
bag, or satchel, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we come to the new, but no, we did khadimun already. Tilka khadimatun muti'atun. Beautiful word, muti'ah. Muti'ah, sunnati Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we say, and may Allah grant him muti'ah. Muti'ah means grant him to become an obedient servant, become obedient, to the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's also, I'm just mentioning because these are all like common du'as that people bring, man. So there we hear the word muti'atun, and this is important that you will also find that most of these words, as I said, I'm just mentioning it. So by the way, but you will pick it up as we go on, that most of these words are also made up from nouns. What people do. Then obviously it becomes, a noun, when a person does the actual act, or the actual deed. So tilka khadimatun muti'atun. And if you want to say that is that is an obedient male servant, how would you say that?
ذلك خادم
ذلك
خادم مطيع
مطيع
مطيع.
مطيع
مطيع.
مطيع
ذلك خادم
مطيع
مطيع يعني. ذلك خادم
مطيع.
Beautiful. ذلك خادع
قادم.
And the last one, تلك طائرة كبيرة. تلك
كبيرة.
And because of
The
طائرة,
aeroplane.
we then add or we put كبيرة. There are some new words that we will be adding to our new lesson, inshallah. Fine. The one is tajirun, as we had mentioned. Tajirun is a merchant or a businessman. Okay. Tijarun, and we can see, I think there's the beautiful verse of the Jum'ah, Allah Ta'ala speaks about,
ذلكم خير لكم.
تشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل واذكروا الله كثيرا
لعلكم تفلحون.
And then وإذا تجارة, وإذا تجارة, and like when Allah says, and after you have now came to the Jummah, after you came to the Jummah and you have now remembered Allah, now you go out into the world, jaratun, now go and earn a living, in doing business. You see that? Tijaratun aw lahwan yufaddu ilayha, So that is the verse of Jum'ah. There the word tijaratun also comes in, so there it comes as a verb. See? And tijarun here is of tajirun is a merchant. Right now, the next one, a male nurse is mumarrid.
مردون.
Ridun. Can you see there? There's a mushadda, and as I mentioned to us, I think somebody asked me a question in one of the first sessions or the second session. We find, I think it was Walidia, there's a mushadda there, then there's a I, just below the mushadda, but it's not below the word, or not below the letter. So in that particular case, normally we find in the Quran, we find that the kasra would be below the letter. But now when we find it in books, when it's written in books, you find that the kasra is below the mushadda. Can you see there? Below the mushadda. So if it was if it was mumarradatun, then it would have been on the top there, you know, above the mushadda there. So that is mumarridun. Okay, you'll find it all the way. But here we can see, for example, because there's not a mushadda, therefore it says tabibatun. Remember here also I mentioned to us, because the ya doesn't have a sukoon on there, automatically if there's no sign on there, you will read a sukoon, right? Remember as I mentioned to us, so it's tabibatun, because there's nothing on top of the ya, so because there's nothing, automatically it indicates, or you now know as an Arabic student, that it takes a sukoon, okay? The other one is katibun. Katibun. Kataba means to write. See, the verb is kataba, but the person who writes is called a katibun.
Katibun.
Katibun. So a male writer is called a katibun, and a female writer is called a female.
Katibatun.
Katibatun.
Katibatun. Katibatun.
Katiba. Right? Tamar Buddha at the back there, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Katibatun.
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 Right. Next one. Yeah, a cook is called a tabakhun. And a female.
Tabakhatun.
Tabakhatun. Right. The ship is called a safinatun. Right. Safinatun. An aeroplane is a ta'iratun.
Ta'iratun.
And just so by the way, can you now realize that sometimes when people speak about certain objects, then they would say, you know, especially the Arabs also, then they would like refer to, for example, if they refer to the ship, then they would say, yeah, but she is very, you know, she is traveling very well. You know that to say, can you see where it comes? Then they use the word and she, then they refer to the ship. Yes. And therefore, it comes from the actual, you know, category, and which is actually categorized. Even if they refer to an aeroplane, you know, they also say she, you know. Okay, right. Okay, ta'iratun. Ta'iratun. Okay, right on. Ta'iratun, yeah.
Ta'iratun.
It's important. I just want to make a mention there. See ta and the amza, ta'iratun. Now, sometimes if you're going to make a mispronunciation, ta'iratun, you know, and you make the amza a ha, or in your pronunciation, then you take the word. Ta'ira. Ta'ir means ta'irun. Ta'irun, ta'iratun, it means pure. So if you name a person name the person, maybe say what's a ta'ir or ta'ira, you know, that's what it means. The ha there, you know, then it changes the meaning to complete. So imagine you call a person that, you know, with the name of ta'ira, and then you say ta'ira, you know, aeroplane, you know, come here, you know. So you always, you know. And obviously somebody will look at you and find, but where's the airplane? Okay. Next one. Okay, the next one, noble, no? Karimun. So that's obviously referring to a masculine person. So if you turn, inshallah, if you must now, for example, use what you'd say, Karimun, on a female, how would you, or feminine object, how would you say?
Karimatun.
Karimatun.
See? Karimatun. Okay. Yeah. Therefore the word Karima, you know, the actual spelling of a girl who's got the name of Karima, no, or say Karima, then we change the ta marbuta, or we stop the you know, sound, and then change it to the ha, like salatun is salah, you know. Now karimatun, can you see that is also a name? So if you give the guy, or say karim, but the name is actually karim. See
Kareem.
there? Or we call the person karim, but it's actually karim.
Kareem.
Kareem, you know, that's the actual name. So we can see how it's changing, you know, important. We're changing certain names by basically just, you know,
Mispronouncing.
pronouncing it, you know, incorrectly. Then muti'un, see, muti'un. And if you refer to, if you must make that feminine, how would you say?
Muti'atun.
Muti'atun.
Yeah, and then mashhurun. Mashhurun is famous. They are female.
Mashhuratun.
Mashhuratun.
Mashhuratun for female.
Mashhuratun.
So alhamdulillah, we did now, I think we're a bit over our time, but alhamdulillah, I think we covered quite a bit as we wanted to. Inshallah, we covered, at least we covered, where am I now? I'm past it now. Right up. Yeah, alhamdulillah, we covered quite a bit. We covered lesson number 6 as well. So we now, I think to summarize both lessons, it is just like what we need to still focus on, to be able to identify when something is masculine and when something is feminine. That's very, very important. And then to know, you know, that when you construct a sentence, because now, remember we spoke about sentences, we're making a sentence here, and when you construct a sentence, you will either have a sentence with a masculine content, or you will have a sentence with feminine content. And that is important. And that is the lesson that you will actually have to sort of take from this that we have done now, you know, which was lessons number 5 and lessons number 6. Okay? I'm going to leave all these exercises or tamarin, you know, for you to work on, you know, at home, inshallah. You know, try and do something, you know, and I can say challenge yourself, you know. But basically, you know, because you see, I think the beauty of the Arabic language is you can play around with you know, with, for example, with the sentences, or even you know, with the questions, you know. So you might say now, okay, fine, like for example, tilka bintun karimatun, right? Now you say to yourself, okay, now I want to make that into masculine. You don't have to say. So then you give the opposites of, like say, tilka bintun. What is the opposite of bintun? Bintun. What is a bintun? A bintun is a girl. So what do we call a boy?
Waladun.
Waladun. So then instead of tilka, you will now say dhalika waladun. Karimatun. Right? Karimatun is for feminine. So how would you say this is a honorable boy or a noble boy?
A noble boy.
Dhalika.
Karimun.
Waladun Karimun. Karimun.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Waladun Karimun.
Excellent. So that is basically what I'm trying to bring over to us. And that is the purpose of these examples, man. You know, so when you do the example as it is here, you know, you work out the example, then you try and play around and you know, with different ways of, you know, just by using different words, man, you know, and even like you just question it, because like I say, we did masculine and feminine, and just to strengthen your understanding with regards to masculine and feminine, what you can do is you try and use these words, and then you try and maybe bring in other words, and so you will actually remember, because unfortunately, you know, we've used a lot of words, you know, in the 5 sessions. There's a lot of new words, you know, and I don't expect us to remember everything, but you must also try and remember some common ones, no? Inshallah. For example, even if you look at the bottom here, you know, on the item number 5 here by the bottom one, you know, Hali Kabiratun or Saghiratun. You see? So automatically you will choose Saghiratun. Why? Even though you don't know. Even though you don't know the meaning of Saghiratun, but because you see that your whole sentence structure is feminine,
Yeah.
right? Can you say as feminine? Even the same example, you don't know what is the difference between kabirun and saghiratun. You don't know what the actual meanings thereof is.
Yeah.
But because your sentence is feminine, automatically you know kabirun must not be considered because saghiratun falls in the pattern of the feminine sentence. You see? And so you can go on and on and on and on, inshallah. So inshallah, alhamdulillah, it was an interesting session. It was a bit of a tough one, I'm sure, you know. And I must just take the opportunity once again, you know, to welcome. They've got quite a few new students here with us, you know. And inshallah, you know, bear with us, Auntie Adila and Sadiq, and, you know, all of you that have joined, inshallah, bear with us. Inshallah, you will catch up, you know, and feel free, you know, if there's any assistance that you require, you know how to get a hold of me, you know, but inshallah, you know, please just hold on. We will get there, and inshallah, Dr. Yusuf will also update you with today's lesson. I know it's not easy to follow just, for example, the YouTube examples or whatever, but what's going to happen as soon as you are part of the class for 2 or 3 or 4 sessions, man, then you know exactly the way or the system that we follow, and then it will see it, you know, it will make sense, you know, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, alhamdulillah, I think I will conclude with that. I'm sorry that we are so far over time, but inshallah, you know, it was an achievement once again that we wanted to get to. So inshallah, I think I just need to confirm, you know, with regards to copies of the lessons. Did everybody receive the copies that I forwarded? It was up to lesson number 8, I think. You know, did everybody receive it?
Lesson number 4.
Did everybody only get to number 4?
I got only
No,
2.
Imam, you sent some emails last week.
Yeah, did you get it, Hussein?
Yes, I did.
To what number lessons? Because I know I put a lot of people's name on it, but I was trying to find it now. And there's a couple of names that when I type it in, then automatically the emails pops up, man. And then I actually also consulted with the chat group also, and therefore I thought I've sent everything. But
When it's only to lesson 5 we got.
Marv Ibrahim?
I think it's only to lesson 5.
So lesson 5, yeah.
Is it?
You're right, Ibrahim.
Okay, inshallah. So what I'm going to do is I'll send now, you know, I'll send later on, inshallah, I'll send you up to lesson number 8, inshallah. Sorry for that, man. I'll keep me off. No? I'll send all that, inshallah. Okay, is there any questions and any, you know, feedback or remarks? And is Orina any news about the books here?
About the books here.
I'll find out tomorrow, inshallah, Imam. No?
No problem. You know, we can depend on you, you know, so alhamdulillah, inshallah, let us know, you know? Okay, inshallah, I think we'll conclude with that. Is there any questions before we greet, inshallah?
Maaf, Imam, can I just ask a question quickly, just
Certainly.
to recap?
Certainly, Jerry.
Yeah. Listen, in conversation, like for example, you mentioned tajirun means businessman. So in conversation, can you leave the un out and say tajir? Would that also be businessman?
Yes, Jerry, we do. They do leave it out. They do leave it out. But for our Arabic lessons here, you see, because what we are doing the nahu. Nahu means grammar, you know. So when you look at grammar, even when it did like English or Afrikaans, you know, then obviously you were told to look out for certain signs, man. Certain signs. Now, what happens here is, for example, you'll find certain signs that indicate to you feminineness or something is masculine. For example, the ta marbuta. So if you say saghira, you're not trying to say, you're not saying the ta, right? That's
correct, yes.
When we do when you do the we call it the nahu, or the grammar itself, then we need to familiarize the student with the proper pronunciations. Especially, you'll see as we're going to go along, you are going to be challenged with regards to what is the vowel on the last letter. You see? And that is how you will know, that the student understands what is the actual usage or the position of the certain word in the sentence. You know that because sometimes it can become an adjective, and sometimes it can also become, like we would say, just an ordinary noun, you know, and that is important. So for us at this particular time, obviously, we will, in the Arabic class, we'll do it like that. Probably when we come to lessons number 20 odd, and I see, and I'm happy with the progress of the class, then I will introduce a what we call it, a conversational Arabic book, you know, that we have, you know.
Okay.
I don't want to confuse us now with that, you know.
Okay, shukran.
Yeah. But I don't mean if you speak Arabic and you want to speak like you know, like obviously people are gonna think, well, who praat die man and say, you know, and he brings out all the vowels. Obviously, you know, they don't speak like that, you know. But you will be able to you know, you will be able to for example, especially when you greet also, kayfa haluk, you know, kayfa haluk, when you make sukoon there. But when we actually going to come to that lesson, when you do the kayfa, you know, which is the particle, then you will see, you know, how to say kayfa haluka, kayfa haluki. You see, because why are we doing that? Because some students, I'm just, you know, but I think we can all learn from this. Because if we use kayfa haluka, then you say actually to a male, how are you, ka? How are you, male? But if you say to a female, how are you, female? Then you say kayfa haluki. You see?
Kayfa haluki. Yeah. Let's just like if you answer, you say ana bi khair, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And obviously, you should say, you know, the proper, if you look in the Arabic language, ana bi khairin. Ana bi khairin. So I say ana bi khair. Home should to say, because like I say, but you don't, you know, the student, you as the teacher are not from, or I would say are not sure as to what the students' understanding is of, you know, the positioning of that particular word there. Because in this ana bi khair, because you say ana bi, the ba there becomes, like we call in English, we call it a preposition. In Arabic, they call it harfu jar. Harfu jar means it makes, so any preposition that you put to it, your last letter becomes a I. You see, the last letter becomes a I. And we have been doing all the time. You see? So therefore, it's important for you, you know, as a student, to actually, you know, like, you know, to first strengthen that before we will start eliminating certain things. You know, therefore, you'll find many people say, yeah, maar also the Arabic class to join because of our Arab praat, you know?
Yeah.
You find, for example.
Yeah, but then.
Yes. Hold on.
Yeah, I was going to say, because sometimes in conversation, it's a slightly different. Like you mentioned, kayfa khaluk, and you answer, ana bi khair, ya akhi.
Yeah.
My brother.
Oh, my brother. You know, yeah. Ana bi khair, you know, ana bi. But like I say, for example, when you write it, it should be ana bi khairin, ya akhi. But you see, in proper, like if you look at proper grammar, you know, then you don't put ya akhi aftani. You know what I'm trying to say? Because, you know, like or what is like we find there, for example, you say I'm okay, I'm okay, oh my brother. You see? But in actual fact, a proper construction of that sentence, ya akhi ana bi khair. You see? You should have started with ya akhi ana bi khair. But now also ya akhi, like we speak of it, it goes all right, my bro. You know what I'm going to say? You know what I'm going to say? Because it's now, like we call it, it's a direct translation, man, you know, from the way we formulate the sentence. And I see as proper Afrikaans, you know, because proper Afrikaans is also, my broer, ek is all right, you know, ek is goed, you know. And this is now what we say, this is now slang. And therefore you find in certain Middle Eastern countries, you hear, for example, we look at the Yemenis and the Syrians, you know, they speak a
Dialect.
pure Arabic, a pure Arabic, you know. But when you look at the Northern Africa again, they call it Berber. You know, they add certain words of their own culture into it. For example, like I use the word doctor, but the proper Arabic word is tabibun, you know, or tabib, you know. So, but inshallah, but alhamdulillah, shukran for the observations, Jaris, because like I say, this is how, that therefore we are called talibs. You know, talibun mean we are all students, meaning we are all researching, you know, trying to analyze how, you know, how to function on certain things, inshallah. No, alhamdulillah. No?
Inshallah.
But inshallah, you know, so, but take note of that.
For that, yes.
Aywa, afwan. Any other questions?
Imam, they're going to send the YouTube to me now?
Yeah. You see what's going to happen, Roshan? You are on the Arabic chat group, Musna?
Yeah.
But Yusuf puts it on there, so you
Yeah.
will get it on there. So
But I
as you
think
will,
lesson number 5, man. I didn't get lesson number 5.
no, this is number 5 now.
Oh, just number 5 now.
This is going to be number 5 now. Yeah, you know, this is number 5. What we did was last week, number 4. Last week, number 4, we did 4 and part of 5. What I did now is I did 5 and 6, you see? So,
Okay, now.
So that
Okay.
is where we find that we went out with the lessons, you know?
Okay. Shukran, Imam.
Okay, man. Shukran.
All the best.
Everybody, shukran for your time. And inshallah, have a good night's rest, inshallah. And, you know, work on your revision, try and formulate
You'll be better prepared next week.
understanding, inshallah, you know. And, you know, we go on next week again, inshallah. We go on next week again. You must remember we made some improvement. Remember we did 1 lesson at a time. We're now doing 2 lessons at a time, you know. And I think your next lesson that you can look at is also basically on the same system here, but now we go huwa and hiya. Huwa, he is. Hiya, she is. Still same formation, masculine, feminine. So therefore I say our whole story is going to go on for a couple of lessons, you know, on masculine and feminine, until we're going to start coming to where we now use ain daka, ain di, you know, indicating possession and so. Then it becomes different. But anyway, shukran very much, you know. We'll say, you know, it's got no end, but we'll end now. You know, immediately, shukran to Yusuf once again for your time and, you know, for everybody sacrificing your time, joining, inshallah, to the new students once again. Welcome, ahlan wa sahlan bikum, you know, and inshallah, you know, ila liqa, until we meet again. Wa alaikum assalam.
Ahmed also, no, Imam.
Same for a while.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.